Hi, everybody. Great. Just give me 1 sec. It's just one. I'm just looking at some settings. Okay, cool. Brilliant. Welcome, everybody. Am I audible clearly to everyone? Guys, am I audible clearly? Just say yes in the chat. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you, Niharika, Lavanya Pankuri. Thank you so much. Okay, brilliant. So let's get into the topic now. This is about having corporate lawyers work abroad. So, how many of you are actually looking to go and work abroad? How many of you are looking to go and work abroad? Put yes in the chat. Put yes in the chat. 1, 2, 3. Oh, wow. Lots of people are looking to go and work abroad. Brilliant. Okay. And are you guys all lawyers? Whoever is a lawyer, write lawyer. Whoever is still a law student, write student. How many of you are lawyers? Okay. Lots of people are students. Lots of people are students and are looking to work abroad. Okay. There are a few lawyers as well. Okay. Law student, done enrollment. I'm not sure what done enrollment means. Are you enrolled in studying abroad, or have you received a job offer, or what is the status when you say done enrollment? Rupal. Completed law. Okay, brilliant. Enrollment is in bar council. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Brilliant. Okay. Okay, let's look at the topics. So what we're going to talk about basically today, and I will like to state this right before, is some things that you will get actually from working abroad. So what are the things that you actually get from working abroad? We're going to talk of this. We're going to talk about if you apply from India, okay, to different law firms outside or companies outside, how much does that work, or is it likely to succeed, or what happens? Now, other question that will be relevant is if I do LLM and I clear the bar and all, then what are my chances there? So if I land abroad by any chance, like I am actually doing an LLM, or I clear the bar exam there after doing the LLM, or for some reason you or your family immigrates out of India, okay, or you get married to someone out of India or something like that. So if you land abroad, then what are your chances of getting a job there? Okay, that's what we'll talk about. Then we'll also talk about what are usually the hiring processes there. Okay, and this is based largely on my experience. This can differ in times of COVID, because people are looking at things in a very different manner, and I'll talk about that as well. But what I have observed as far as the hiring processes abroad are concerned, I can discuss that with you. Then there are some things that are bare minimum essentials. You have to have this. If you're looking to work abroad, you have to have this. Okay, so we're going to talk of those bare minimum essentials that you would need if you're looking to work abroad. Okay, so this is basically the plan that we're going to talk about. Does this look exciting to you guys, or does it look something like you want to hear and you want to discuss? Say yes if you find it interesting. Say yes. Yeah, brilliant. Brilliant, guys. Awesome. Okay, let's get right into the session, and let's begin talking about this. Okay, so I'll just share my screen, and as usual, I have slides. here. So how can a corporate lawyer from India work abroad? Now, there are some things that we're going to talk about, which may be a bit of a difference in terms of corporate lawyers or litigators as well. I guess yesterday Ramanuju did a webinar on, being a corporate lawyer and versus a litigator, choosing either one of the streams. And here we're going to talk at it from the angle or discuss it from the angle of being able to work abroad as a corporate lawyer or as a litigator, okay, versus both of them. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So let's proceed. So we did this already. Lots of you are looking. Now, this is the first question. Why do you want to live and work out of India? Why do you want to do this? Now, can I have some answers? Which country is best? Ireland, Canada, or other options? There are loads of factors to this answer. Why are you looking to work abroad? For better pay. Okay. What else? More exposure in career, good quality of life, exposure and lifestyle. Okay. For a better lifestyle, for international exposure, better standard of living, work-life balance, to explore interesting opportunities with international firms. Lots of different reasons. Okay. But broadly, we can categorize this in three main things. Okay. So first is people are looking for a better salary. Okay. Are looking for better pay options. Okay. This is the first thing that people are looking for. Obviously, because in many countries, what will happen is that the exchange rate will be favorable for people who are earning in that country compared to the INR. So like Euro INR rate will be, if you're working in Europe somewhere, naturally you earn the multiples in terms of Euro. If you're working in US, you earn in multiples in terms of dollar. And this is a general tendency, or a consideration that people have, that when they are looking at the salaries of people abroad, they tend to multiply that with the INR exchange rate and think of how much more that works out to. Lots of people do this. This is one basic thing that people will do. Whatever is the salary that is offered outside, let us say 40,000 euros, they'll multiply it with the exchange rate of Euro INR, and they'll convert it into INR and see that, wow, it works out to a huge sum. Okay, so this is some things. Any questions that people have in the chat? No. Okay, so this is basically the first reason why people are looking to work out of India, because the exchange rate is like that. You will be able to earn the multiples of that. But just think of one thing that is really, really relevant. When you earn in that currency, you also spend in that currency. Okay, if you are working out of India, when you earn in that currency, you are also spending in that currency. Okay, and when you look at the spending levels or expense levels, okay, you will be able to realize what exactly is the net thing that you are able to put away, and whether there is any net amount of income that you are going to be able to put away, because there is going to be a lot of expenses that you will have to incur. You will have to incur rent, you will have to incur food, you will have to incur commutation expenses, you will have to incur expenses which are related to clothing and all of that. You have to be dressed in a specific attire. You can't be just going on in anything that that you choose. Okay, right? So you will be spending on clothes or on attire. You may spend a bit on entertainment as well. Like, you can't live a dull life working there all the time. Okay, so you're going to be spending a bit on entertainment. Maybe you're going to be spending a bit on travel. It's a new place. So you will probably try to look at working, traveling somewhere or seeing a few places while you're there. You will also be spending on your trip back home if you're taking it. okay, at some point of time. Many people may not take it for a long period of time, but the trip back home, you're going to be spending on that. Okay, so you have to factor in and you have to look at all of these expenses when you concentrate or when you think of the salary outside India. And on a general scale, I can tell you that you will find stuff expensive there, especially the rents. Okay, the rentals will be something that will be killing. Okay, at some point of time you will find that something like 40% of your income goes away simply on rents. It can be that expensive. Okay, so then you can be sharing with other people, you can be living in a cramped way with a lot of other people. Those kinds of things can happen if you are going to look at saving on the rentals. So wherever you are looking to land, the first you should consider what are the living expenses at that place. You will probably find, like, Indian groups in that country who are working and living there, and you will be able to, like, find out what are the average expenses of living, what is the cost of living for this place. That is something that you will have to find out. Okay, before you just, like, completely look at the incoming amount or the salary levels and simply multiply it by the exchange rate, think of what you're going to be spending and what is the amount that you're going to be able to put away. Okay, very, very important. Okay, any questions or points on this or feedback? I have just two questions. Which country is best, Ireland or Canada or other options? Um, we can look at the general UK kind of, UK and Ireland, you can bracket it in the same category. Okay, so how it works, I can definitely discuss that because I have lived and worked in Ireland, but there are similar practices there. So I can talk about that. Canada, I haven't really, got a lot of information, but from what I have heard from, like, my connections and my friends or my relatives who are living there, the mention is that it has a very good work-life balance. Okay, that is something that I am getting. As far as the salary levels are concerned, I'm sorry, I don't have much information about these two countries. Can corporate lawyer also work in civil law countries like Germany? So yeah, but again, like, think of what the people there need. Okay, we will come to this. We will come to the eligibility part of it. Let's look at, the things here right now. So salary is one reason, but you need to think of this, that what you're going to be spending. Better quality of life. Everyone thinks that the quality of life is much better. I will talk of the, so if I say about the cost or the salary, gap, as far as I'm or my experience is concerned, I will tell you that a lot of part of it, a lot part of your salary gets deducted in social security payments. Okay, what you have been offered as a gross salary, you get like a very less part of it in your hand, because lots of things get deducted in social security payments. This is definitely the case in Europe. In US, I guess it is not so much because they don't have so much of, like, social security related things getting deducted. But I think in Europe, it's a huge part. Anywhere you go, UK or Ireland, you will, or even in other countries, social security payments can take off a large chunk of your salary. Okay, these can be helpful to you also. Okay, if you are if you don't have a job, you're resident there, okay, on, let's say, a long-term visa, or you are resident there on somewhere, a citizenship or something like that, which is a really, really relevant place where you are staying there. Okay, if you are simply on a simple work permit kind of experience, you may not be eligible for these things. Okay, or but generally a large part of your salary gets put away on the social security payments. Okay, when you are unemployed in European countries, there are also chances that you will get something that is called an unemployment allowance. Okay, if you are expecting you can get something that's a maternity benefit from the state, even if you're not getting anything from your company. Okay, and this is the reason why they take off a large chunk of your salary for these things, that you can get, like, these social security benefits of unemployment allowance or maternity benefit or things like that. Okay, so definitely the income that comes in your hand directly will be much lower, because these things get cut off out of that income. Secondly, after that net income, what comes in your hands, a large part will go away in rentals. Okay, rentals are killing in European countries. Okay, if you're particularly looking to live somewhere near the office, which is in a town center or things like that, rentals can be killing in those areas. So then what will happen is you will have to look for areas which cost less but which are quite far away, something like an hour's distance from your workplace. Okay, and then you are looking at like, paying lesser rents there, but then you're also looking at spending an hour in commuting, and spending a bit on the transport. Now transport is another thing, or commutation is another thing that can be killing. Okay, so and it is forced luxury. If I will tell you that, like, the way people who have traveled in local trains in Mumbai, you know how you are traveling, and that is incredibly cheap for that reasons. Okay, now if you were commuting abroad in any public transport, the situation will be that you will spending a lot of money, you will be spending a lot of money on that transport. The quality of the transport is very good, like, you will have really good uh, kind of facilities inside the transport, but you can be spending a lot of money on it. Gulf countries, I'm not really much aware of that. I am not sure of lots of lawyers looking to move into Gulf countries, and I'll tell you why. Because the language in those countries is required. You need the language of those countries. You need to know the language of that countries. Okay, in order to be able to draw up, read documents, get employments. You can get employment in firms which are global or MNCs or things like that, or even in areas that are related to arbitration, you probably can be working like that. But then otherwise, even in general, like, if you want to really know and really get some grip on employment in the Gulf, or even in countries like Germany, okay, you will need to know the local language. Germany, mein toh it's like, it's kind of mandatory. You would have to, and they are very, very proud of their language. Okay, so therefore you will, even if you don't know, they will force you to learn German. You will have to learn German if you want to stand any chances there. Gulf countries also, I find that you have to have a working knowledge of Arabic. Now, again, the preferences, hiring preferences, as I understand in the Gulf countries, and this is not my own experience, but this is what I have got from communications with different people, is that Gulf countries' preference is to hire people from the European countries. If they are hiring people outside the country, if they are hiring expatriates, preference is to hire people from the European countries, not from India. Okay, in fields like accounting, yes, you can get chances where you are working from India. As far as law and other things are concerned, you have to know, you need to know the local language, and the preference is to hire people from European countries. Okay, otherwise you can, like, you will be hired, but the thing is they always kind of prefer their own people. They will always prefer their own people, like, for different positions, promotions, things like that. Okay, this is what I have got by communicating with people. All right, there hasn't been any direct experience that I have of working in Gulf countries, but this is what I get as a feedback by communicating with different people. As far as European countries, yes, I have a direct working experience in Ireland and in UK, so I can state very confidently about this, that you that as far as the salary and everything is concerned, a large chunk will go away. Better quality of life. Now think of that. Definitely, you have better air, water, food. Okay, good quality of transport, all of these things are much better. Maybe good quality of living also, like, you're living in a better place than you are living where you are in India. Okay, people are raising hands, guys. Put your questions in the chat. Okay, now direct of questions that are there which are for people's career uh, options, I cannot answer direct answers. LLB or JD, I'll come to that when I talk about eligibility issues, okay, or eligibility part. But better quality of life. Right now, I'm thinking of why you want to work abroad. Why do you want to do this? Just hit on that. So salary has a lot of things taking away. Better quality of life. Yes, you have better air, water, food, everything. You better live. Maybe you have a better workplace. Okay, you have a better work atmosphere, like, better environment, a better environment to work. Okay, where probably merit and everything is there. People are not shouting all the time. All of these things you may find working out of India. But then consider these kinds of things. You will not have any support the kind that you get in India. Okay, if you're looking for social support, you are going to struggle a lot. Okay, you will never have the support that you kind of have from your neighbors around here. In where you are staying outside, you probably won't even know who's staying next door. Okay, this can happen when you are staying out of India. So social support, you're going to be very, very low on social support. Okay, you're going to be having to manage lots of things by yourself. Okay, social support will be very, very low unless you have developed friendships there, where the people are standing up for each other. You stand up for your friend and your friend stands up for you and supports you. Other than that, social support is very, very low. Okay, there are lots of questions which are LLM related. We will come to that, guys. Growth, you are looking for growth. Okay, you are looking for different kind of opportunities. You are looking to grow in your field, very much there. And I will come to what working outside gives you, and it does give you some kinds of an increase or a broadening of insights. For sure, you will get a good exposure as well. But just think of these things. Okay, as you progress along the lines, at one point, anywhere you are, wherever you are, whether you are in a law firm or like you are at a high level in a company somewhere, some point will arise where you will be expected to generate business. Law firm particularly, like, you want to be a partner in the law firm. There is an expectation that you're going to be able to generate business. Okay, and uh, doing being there is having or generating business outside India is a totally different ball game than generating business in India. Okay, so where you are looking to earn clients, create business for an entity, it is very different outside India than it is in India. You do not create clients, you do not generate a business in the same way as you do in India. Okay, now there may be some traits or some things which are very same. Like, you naturally, when you create a value for a client, or uh, when you kind of do things beyond their expectations, those kinds of things will be there. But despite that, and I'm telling you, despite that, okay, despite your overperforming, there's a very different outlook by the clients there. Okay, to give you business rather than give someone else business who's already a citizen of that country. Okay, this is just how the mindset is. So you have to think, the way in which you get business is very different. Okay, so you think of how far you will be able to go if generating business is going to be really, really difficult. Here, you know how to generate business. You can get up to a partner level and you can get up to a senior partner level. You can be at the top level in the law firm. Okay, whereas there, if you're working for a firm, you go up to the level of a senior associate, or somewhere where there are positions like a director. Okay, they call a director. It's not a director of the LLP or a director of the company as such, but the position that is given to you is a director. That's what they will call it. Now, if you are at that level and you want to go beyond that, then there is a big stumbling block at that time, because you would have to be able to generate clients there, which is a completely different ball game as compared to India. So there's an extent to which you will be able to go. After that, if you can manage it, it's fair. Otherwise, there is a struggle. Okay. What changes can working abroad bring in you? This is really relevant. Okay. So, what can you get by working out of India? You get a much wider view. You stop generalizing and judging people on the basis of their backgrounds. This is exactly what is meant by exposure, because in here you are exposed to people from different states. Okay, there you're going to be working with people of completely different countries. I was working with a company where there were some, it was a growing company in carbon credits, and we had a team of some 10 people or something like that in the beginning, and then it was growing after that. But 10 people in Dublin office, and each of them were from different countries. All were from different countries altogether. Okay, someone was Irish, someone was British, someone was from South Africa. Everyone were from different countries. Okay, and you're working with those people, so definitely it gives you a much wider perspective on things, on working. And here what happens is that we do kind of start to generalize people, right? That because somebody is a Marwadi, they must be like that. Because somebody is a Guju, they must be like that. Because somebody is a Bengali, like we kind of start to have this because we have seen a particular amount of particular part of the world, that's all, and we haven't seen a broader view. But when you step outside, you have a much wider view of everything, because you wouldn't remain Indian, or you wouldn't remain anybody inside like a state like a Maharashtrian or a Gujarati or anything anymore. Okay, you will simply become Asian. Okay, and that includes like people from Bangladesh, people from Sri Lanka, people from Pakistan. All of these people will be bracketed under the same thing, and that is Asian. Okay, so for the people there, everybody is Asian. It doesn't matter to them where they are from, and therefore you start getting a much broader view of things. Salary differences towards people who are not citizens of that country. No, it is not, because they are prohibited. They are not supposed to discriminate between the people. Okay, that is one law which they strictly follow. They are not supposed to discriminate between the people. Okay, they will not discriminate because you're from India. But yes, if you do not have the relevant background or experience, and you don't get a job, or you are paid lower because you do not have relevant experience to them, then you can't blame them on in that stead, that I am, because I am Indian, you're giving me less salary. It is not relevant experience compared to someone who has been living and working there, right? I have not seen exploitation in most circumstances. If by exploitation you are looking at long working hours, I'm sorry, that is law firms anywhere in the world. Okay, I have seen lawyers, transaction lawyers in particular, corporate lawyers, when they are working in transactions, who are working in law firms, as well as lawyers who are working inside the company, in-house, working for long hours at the time of a transaction, working on weekends at the time of transaction. This is this is general anywhere in the world. Okay, and they don't consider, that's not considered as exploitation, because at the time of a transaction you have to put in those extra hours. There is unfortunately no alternative. Okay, and the transaction natural or nature of working, and corporate lawyers are particularly prone to this. They live from transactions to transactions. Okay, so there is a takeover happening. It is a deadline task. You can't help it. You have to work for a longer period of time. You have to work on weekends. because it is a deadline task. It's as simple as that, right? So then that's what it is. But you won't find people shouting, okay, and insulting people, that kind of thing. I have not seen in Europe. Okay, I have not seen people doing that kind of behavior. Now, uh, your insistence on certain things and restrictions on handling a situation fall away. So you're not going to be restricted. You will, in India, you think that how can I do such a thing? What will happen if something happens like this? This is the inappropriate way to do it. Like all of these things will fall away from your head. Okay, because in India, I mean, I have seen people as stubborn or as stringent that you cannot eat a particular combination of food. That's not how it works. You know, you have to eat the food in this manner only, with these things only. It is so much of, like, you know, restrictions or insistence on working with things. But you go out of India, these kinds of things will fall away, mandatorily will have to fall away. You wouldn't be able to survive like this. Okay, so if you are handling a situation, you will have to find a way out of it. And these restrictions that you can only do things in a specific manner, you have to have this thing, you have to work in a certain way only, all of these things will fall away. Okay, because you will have to find a solution. Like many people here will be thinking that how can I go down and clean my car, like, you know, or how can I go and clean my this thing. It's like, it's not my level job, it's a job of, you know, people or servants who are working for me. It This will fall away. Okay, here you won't be able to survive if you, like, you know, have these things with you. These kinds of things will fall away when you are out of India. Increase self-reliance, exactly like I said. Like you're gonna have to fix your stereos yourself. You probably have to paint your house yourself. You may have to wallpaper where you are staying by yourself. You will have to do a lot of cleaning, cooking, everything by yourself. Okay, there's a lot of self-reliance that you will have to learn for everything, which you may not be doing right now in India. Increased courtesy and considerateness. Okay, and this is something that can be a byproduct because of working in Europe. In Ireland, 110%. Okay, you will have this because you will see people holding doors out for other people. You will see people thanking the bus driver, thanking the public transport person, you know, who is there. You will see people thanking each other. You will see people helping other people on streets. Okay, their rule is that if someone comes within an arm's length distance of you, how can you ignore their presence? So even if you don't know someone, like, you know, they'll be saying a hi, or at least a hi, just to say that I'm acknowledging your presence. This is what I've seen in Ireland. It used to be very strange for me sometimes that a stranger is just coming up to me and saying hi. Okay, but that's how they are. Their thinking is that you cannot ignore the presence of someone who's come so close to you. You have to say at least a hi. Okay, so that is increased courtesy and considerateness. Like we started getting down from a rickshaw in India and thanking the rickshaw driver, and people were laughing at us, but this is what you get. Okay, so can you get a job out of India while applying from India? This is incredibly difficult. I have to tell you this because, you know, you will be sitting here, you will be sending applications to law firms out of India, and you will be trying to converse with them, and they respond. Like, you know, Indian employers many times they don't respond. And I won't blame, probably because they get like thousands of applications or hundreds of applications that are there, so they may not have the capacity to deal with that. But in India, out of India, you make an application, you get a response, but usually it will be a polite decline, because people generally do not want to get into the visa processing and everything. Okay, generally people don't want, unless you have been, like, you know, a really top performer in a firm, and someone is recommending you to the firm outside India, putting you on deputation, you work there for a little while, and you're looking at doing that, right, like they've seen you. Okay, if you're just sitting here and firing applications to countries outside India, very few chances, very few chances, even if you've got, like, you know, a really great degree. Very few chances. They will usually not prefer. You have to be there, you have to be present. Like, they can take an interview for things for their Indian branches and all of that, they might consider, and they do that. But to get a job outside India so that the employer will sponsor you and you fly, very difficult. And there is a reason for this. Okay, the reason for this, which I'll come to, is that law is usually not a skill shortage sector in most of the countries. Okay, when you're looking for employment outside India and you're looking that people will sponsor you for employment, what will happen is that where there are skills shortages in that country. Okay, in Ireland, when I was there, there was an incredible shortage for testing engineers, QA, and testing opportunities. Okay, testing engineers, there was a shortage. Anybody who had done that from, like, even an average college in India and was able to do the QA testing work would get a job, and a decent job. Okay, so there was a skill shortage there. There was a skill shortage for nurses. Anyone who was a nurse and had some work ex could get a job because there was a skill shortage. Accounting was a skill shortage there. Indian chartered accountants could easily get a job out of India in the firms there because it was in the skill shortage area. Law, unfortunately, is not in a skill shortage area in many countries. Okay, so it's not something that they do not have already have there. Okay, they will probably have enough lawyers there already. Okay, so when you want to get a job as someone who's from outside and it's not a skill shortage area, then you have to do a lot of things. Like, you have to actually make a really, really fantastic impression because you're competing with other people who are also available in a decent supply, if not abundant. Okay, there is no skill shortage for lawyers. Now, if you land outside India in some way, can you then get a job? Because there are lots of people say, I'll go on a visit visa, and I'll go on I'll go on a tour, and maybe at that time I will be doing some interviews. It's very risky to do that, guys. Okay, first of all, you will land there on a tourist visa, and if you're looking at trying for employment and getting employment and all of that, it becomes very difficult because they don't want people coming on a tourist visa and trying to get jobs. Okay, and in any event, if you are staying there, if you want to stay there, you will need your employer to sponsor you. Most employers find it very difficult to sponsor. Okay, if you are staying there for some reason for a longer period of time, then they may be looking to do something for you. But most employers find it very difficult to sponsor lawyers from India to stay to work outside of India. Okay, if is there a possibility to find a job if we do our law degree there? So if you are doing, see, this is where we come to the eligibility, and I'm going to answer that. How did I land abroad? Let me come to the eligibility because lots of you have questions there. So here, like, if you are a corporate lawyer, okay, chances are you will get less time in getting hired because compared to a litigator, because litigators have to have a specific eligibility criteria. Okay, they have to be able to practice inside the courts there. They have to have the specific licenses, and it takes longer for people to be practicing there. Okay, in UK, or for that matter, even in Ireland. Okay, so you can take less time in getting hired as a corporate lawyer than as a litigator because the court representation requires specific eligibility criteria to be met. Now, many people, as far as what skills are in great demand outside and have less supply, you have to look at that specific country, Pranav. Every country will have different skill shortages. So you have to look for that country, and you have to find out what are the skills shortages in that country where you want to land, right? Now we're talking about the eligibility criteria. As far as the US is concerned, okay, there are rules which state that if you have practiced here for a period of 2 years, but not just fresh out of getting your degree. Okay, if you practice here for a period of 2 years and they review all of your background, your eligibility, everything, there is a chance that they may allow you to practice, but it rarely happens. Most people take the route of doing an LLM out of India and passing the bar there. Okay, doing an LLM, passing the bar, and then looking for work. Okay, and I can tell you that this route, although it will put you in a qualification position for that, think of this again, think of this, that there is no skill shortage of lawyers in that country. Okay, there are equal lawyers available there who have stayed there, grown up there, worked there, while you are coming from India, doing an LLM, clearing an exam. So they'll weigh on the basis of this, who is aware more of everything here, who is born here, who has looked at everything, versus who has just got a degree. Okay, so definitely, like what we are trying to share with everybody through the paralegal courses and all, is that you have lots of articles of Ramanuj there on working as paralegals. Is that if you are aware of their systems, if you have done some work for them even by sitting in India, then it adds up to your chances, because you can show for the work being done, and all you have is not just an LLM and clearing of the bar. Okay, you have done some work, although on a freelancing basis you have done, then definitely you stand much better chances. Is Singapore a feasible option? What does a JD abroad mean? JD is a Juris Doctor degree. So you do your graduation itself in law there. You move and you graduate there as a lawyer. It's not a master's degree like an LLM. So you move directly as a student and you study law there, and you work there. There are better chances if you're doing that, but then you have to leave India at a very early age to be able to get admission to do the law there itself, from the beginning itself, stay there for a while, sustain yourself for a while in that duration. And sustaining is, I've seen students there who are studying, you have to do a lot of other work in order to be able to meet your living expenses, because it's not going to be easy. Okay, so even research assistantships and all of that, if you have done some work from India, you are in a much better position rather than landing there and just studying there and doing odd jobs there to sustain your living. You can, and now because freelance opportunities have opened up so much, definitely you should try to do freelance work here before then, you go there and you study there and you try to work odd jobs there to make the ends meet. Many people, even after LLM, are not able to secure the job. Exactly. Okay, it is that's what I'm saying. Your sector is not a skill shortage, and they have someone there who studied there, worked there, done everything there, is much more well versed about the country than you are. Okay, so definitely, there will be a tilt in favor of the people there, because they will be able to answer questions better also. It's not just a discrimination point. Please understand, it's not just a discrimination point. They will be able to answer better. They will be able to do things more in consonance with what the employer is looking for than you, because they're born and brought up there. Okay, they have studied there, they have done everything there, more acclimatized to the culture there. Okay, how should we stand apart from the people? This is the way. You have to do some work right from before here. Okay, you have to do, lots of people are asking me about the ICSA program. So let me break this out to you. ICSA degree also, you will not be able to get a job in Ireland or UK sitting here in India. I have tried this many times and I have failed badly, and I know this. Okay. From here, if you are making an application to be appointed, like, to get a job of a company secretary there, even work in a law firm as some company secretary there, it doesn't work. If you're going to land outside India for some reason and then you are trying to work through the ICSA degree, then that's when you can, like, get it. Okay. It doesn't work applying from India. I'm sorry, but, like, it's highly unlikely that you will get a job sitting in India, even if you have the ICSA UK degree. Okay. You have to land there. And that's what happened with me. That's how I got, like, I tried to get the job with the use of the ICSA degree. Like you, I also thought that if I have that degree, maybe I stand a chance. And it was not working, simply because employers are unwilling to take the trouble of sponsorship when they already have people there whom they can do without sponsoring. They wouldn't need to sponsor those people. They don't have a skill shortage. So why would they sponsor someone and bring someone from India if there isn't a skill shortage? If there's a skill shortage, yes, they will do that, which is how lots of chartered accountants get, appointed, or lots of engineers get a job outside, because people are willing to sponsor because there is a skill shortage. In law or company secretarieship, there is no skill shortage. They have abundant people available there who can do their job. So therefore, they are not looking to import people. It's a simple, like, demand and supply. Okay. But on general, you can take less time getting hired as a corporate lawyer than as a litigator, because court representation will require specific eligibility criteria. Now, you will not be eligible directly to practice on your own. So you will have to take up employment by a firm or a company. You have to clear the criteria in order to, how will you even get clients? You don't even know anything about the country. Okay. So you will be employed by a firm or a company. That's what you will have to look for. You will have to look for a job only in the initial period. Okay, no Shreya CS degree, no degree adds to your chances of being hired. Let's be blunt. I'm really serious. Okay, where you have a work experience, that's what will count. Okay, so you may not be directly eligible to practice on your own. So you will be employed by a firm or a company. And for the initial period, you will be hired as a paralegal, because your experience that is there in India doesn't really work directly for the experience there. I can give you my my experience is that I was working as the company secretary and compliance officer for a listed company in India. It had pan India operations and everything. Okay. And I went outside of, and how I landed outside of India was that my husband, who's a chartered accountant, got a job outside India. That's how I landed in Dublin. Okay. I had been trying for work opportunities in Dublin before, but it did not work out. Okay. And at that time, when I stated, even that my husband is there and I'm going to join him on what was called a joint spouse visa, or, like, a spousal work permit. That's what I had applied for, on the basis for, to say that I'm going to land in Dublin at a later period of time. But, like, I want to apply for the jobs now. And then when I land, I can give a second interview or things like that. Even that didn't work out. Okay, so I had to land there. I had to be there in order to be able for anything to materialize really. Okay, I'm completely from a non-NLU, guys. Like, people who are saying non-NLUs, I'm a non-NLU person. I did my law from a Gujarat University Law College. Okay. So I'm a non-NLU. I'm not from any NLUs. But that's the point, is that you have to land abroad, okay, in order to be securing any really worthwhile interview or opportunities. People may be interviewing you on the phone, but highly unlikely that it will proceed while you are not in that country. Highly unlikely. Okay, unless you have been a really top star in everything and someone recommends and something like that happens. Highly unlikely that you will be sitting outside of that country and applying for jobs in that country, and you will get it. Okay, you can get freelance work. That is possible because they are not bothered about sponsoring you. There is no requirement for sponsorship in freelancing. You simply are taking the services from someone seated in a country, and you are making the payment for that. That's all. But there's no sponsorship. They are not supposed to be employers. Okay, that's why all their botheration of the sponsorship and employment falls away if you're doing freelance work. Okay. So you will, and so like I was hired as an assistant company secretary, which was more or less a paralegal position. I have to be very clear with that. It was more or less a paralegal position. It was second to the company secretary and head of risk. Okay, that was the position I was reporting to. And it was a legal paralegal as well as company secretarial combination kind of position. Okay, so this is what you will get a job as, because that doesn't require any specific eligibility. Freelancing, how you can do, Ramanuj has done a lot of sessions on there. He'll still do more. Okay. ICSA, guys, I've already answered. Work-life balance abroad, like I said, in law, whenever there are transactions, particularly corporate law, you have to put in the hours. There is on the whole better work-life balance compared to India. It's not like every day, but yeah, when you have transactions, there is no alternative. You have to put in the hours. Okay. Now, what is the difference in hiring processes? Okay, compared to here, where you receive a lots of applications, or you get a, is LLM better or JD better in terms I want to work abroad? So you have, if you land there, the earlier you land there, the more you are acclimatized there, that's the better for you. But again, like Karunya, I'm stressing, just the degree does not do the job. Okay, just the degree doesn't do it. Even scholarships, even if you're getting scholarship, when they are comparing you to other people, you are in an unfair comparison. Okay, there is no skill shortage, so there is an unfair comparison. The other guy who's born there, brought up there, has done a JD there, has worked or temped with a temp, they call it temp. Okay, so temping, okay, or temporary people, so they call it temping. So they have temped with a few different people there. They are obviously in an advantageous position as compared to you, right? Fully funded scholarship, I am not aware of that. I'm sorry, Rutuja. So when you are looking at work or employment, this is what you will face. Difference in hiring processes that I have seen: agents are preferred rather than direct applications. In most organizations, other than really huge multinationals which have structured hiring processes, like JP Morgan and all, they have very, very structured hiring process. So you have to do an application uh, on their portal, which is huge. Okay, it's a huge application form. You have to fill in a lot of details. Okay, and then they will be taking you through the stages there. So those companies will be hiring directly, but otherwise mostly people will prefer hiring through the agents. Some even have entrance exam. Yeah, it's not really an entrance exam, Pranav, but they have some tests. They call it there are tests, and there's a specific term for it. I'm missing it, but yes, there are tests that you need to clear. There may be case study kind of questions which you need to deal with also before you actually before they actually take your application any further. Okay, so agents are preferred rather than direct applications. This is there where so competence based tests they can do. I think they're called specific tests, but I have not given any tests like that in the interviews that I've given. But agents are preferred because agents kind of screen the people. Okay, even though you're coming from out of the country, if the agent kind of puts a stamp and represents and puts your CV forward, okay, then that means that they have seen something at least in you, okay, in order to refer you to that employer, which will better your chances to to get the job, okay, or to be even like considered properly for an interview. Okay, so agents are preferred rather than direct applications, except like I said, where for companies where the hiring processes are extremely structured. There are generally two levels of interviews, which is technical and HR. So if you have tests, competence based tests, you will have to do your tests first. You have to do your case study related part first. Then you come to your levels of interviews, and which will be like technical interview and an HR interview. There can be two levels of technical related interviews as well. But generally, you will find one where people are looking more at your attitude, your language, your presentability, all of those things they are looking at. And the second is where they do have some level of technical questions for you. Okay. But generally it is not like, there is not like a what, uh, there isn't like a what is this section related to. Guys, there are lots of questions which are related to entrance exams and eligibility and all of that. Lot of information is provided there on the internet for this. I'm not going to talk of this. I'm going to give you these things which I have seen there. Okay, so I'm not going to discuss about things which are already available for you on the internet. Okay, these things are coming directly out of my experience, which are not there on the internet for people to find out. Okay, preference is to hire people with relevant background and experience. So I struggled. I could not find any employment with a law firm because my background was largely with industry. So where my CVs were sent to industry, they worked. Okay, and people were really looking to like okay, go ahead or think of the interview in that situation. So that is the reason why my employment opportunities there were uh, also were in the industry side. Okay, because my background work ex from India was on the industry side, on the in-house side. Okay, if you are looking at taking a law firm job, what is your background or experience with a law firm in India? That is something that will be considered. Okay, usually the preference is for relevant background. Okay, so you have to have worked in a law firm if you're looking for law firm. If you have to have worked in industry if you're looking for industry. uh, you may be able to get into the industry realm even if you have worked in the law firm, but vice versa is very difficult. Okay, you have worked in industry here and you're looking to get into the law firm, very difficult. Secondments are also used by them to fill the gap, so that they like, this is another competition that you have, that when you are looking for an employment in house, there are people who are seconded by law firms to take that position. So that is something that happens very easily in the legal segment. There are secondments that happen. Okay, there will be people who are deputed to be there until someone else fills up the position. So the employer is not on a desperate footing to hire someone. You get that? That is the point I'm trying to make. That there wouldn't be someone who's desperate to fill that position because they can get somebody on secondment. City Group, where I got an employment in the legal department, use this a lot. Like before me, there were loads of times when, like, people had left and they had seconded someone from a law firm. It doesn't work out fantastically for the company because these people naturally are not very well aware of the processes, but they can take care and they can run for a particular period of time. Okay, so secondments, so like they are not desperate then. What are the bare minimum essentials you will need to secure a job abroad? Without this, you cannot get a job abroad. Okay. Can a CS land a job in Dubai, UAE? Is there any scope? There have been people who have got jobs in UAE or in Dubai for that matter also. But again, you want to progress any farther than that, you got to know the language. Do we have to clear the bar council? If we have to have some experience under a senior lawyer, for what? For getting a paralegal opportunity? We'll come to that. Okay. So what is it that you desperately need if you want to go and have work experience? If you do not have any work experience in India, highly unlikely that you will get. Like, you would have to go to a very early age, study there, be there, temp under some people, work as research assistants for your professors. Okay, do work like that and generate credibility in order to get job. Okay, but if you're looking as a qualified lawyer to move there and work there directly, it is not going to work unless you have proper work experience in India. If you have work experience in India and you can demonstrate what you did, you can talk clearly about what you did or the results that you achieved, then it makes a huge difference. Okay, if I give you an example, I was being interviewed by BlackRock. BlackRock is obviously one of, like, a very well-known multinational financial entity. And I was interviewing with BlackRock. Okay. And BlackRock were requiring someone who would look after certain compliance requirement and have proper systems in place. So I spoke about my experience there, and I was able to demonstrate on how alert you need to be if you were going to be a company secretary and compliance officer of a listed company. What is the degree of alertness that is required? Like, I had to speak that after certain board meetings within a period of 15 minutes, you have to fax and send the outcome of the board meetings to the stock exchanges. So you have to be that alert and you have to be that upfront to be able to do those kinds of things. Okay. So if you demonstrate what you have done in your work or what your work role required, okay, and you are going to be able to transfer those skills to that job, okay, that kind of alertness, if you're going to bring to a compliance level job, it makes a lot of difference. Okay, so you should be able to demonstrate what you did in your work, okay, and how is that going, that skill going to help you with the work there. Okay. So if you have problems with English, like, really forget it. Okay. Uh, if you are consistently making grammatical mistakes, then it is almost impossible. You have to work on your language first to stand any chance at all. Okay, because the first thing that you will do, you will make a standard application that will go to the employer there. Even if you land there, even if you have done an LLM there, even if you have, like, done everything, if you send an application to the people with poor English, okay, sentence construction not done properly, you do all of these things, you will have hardly, like, no chances to make any kind of impact at all. You will not be considered. Okay, so English is a mandatory requirement. You will need to work on it. You will need to be able to write properly. You will need to be able to speak properly without making any grammatical mistakes, without faltering. Okay, you will have to be able to speak fluently in order to be able to stand any chances at all. Forget about getting a job, even in order to stand any chances to be called for an interview. This is a mandatory prerequisite. On the other hand, if you can display fluent language skills and good vocabulary, you can create a good impression. And I have done this. I actually had an agent tell me that she was very impressed with the language skills. And I actually told her in a conversation that I started writing little things, poems, short stories, things when I was 7. So this is the kind of thing that, it will make a good impression on the agent, on the employer. But poor English language skills, you will not, with poor English language skills, you will not be able to succeed at all. Okay, guaranteed failure. You need to be presentable. Like this is something that you have to have. Like you have to be properly dressed. It has to be ironed. You can't go naturally in jeans or grumpy clothes. It's always good to dress conservatively when you are going to go meet an agent or an employer. Okay, so you have to have these things. Let me try and answer a few questions. I am towards the end of the webinar here, where we have the WhatsApp group link. But let me try and answer a few questions that people have. Whatever I know, I will be able to answer. Very keen to know about Ireland opportunities. You can go to a website that's called irishjobs.ie and search for paralegal or things like that. You can search if they have any paralegal opportunities for on sites like Upwork, okay, or other freelancing sites, Fiverr. Check for that if they have any opportunities on those sites. But Ireland, again, law is not a skill shortage sector. It is not. I am a CS professional student and LLB final year students plan to move abroad. Can I move on basis of CS or LLB? No, you can't. What are the chances of getting a remote working job, work from home in a foreign firm with LLM in IPR? Try and see. There are lots of websites which Ramanu just discussed. If you go to the LawSikho YouTube channel and you search for paralegal, just search for paralegals, you will find a lot of webinars that Ramanu just conducted exactly on what sites you need to do, exactly on what work you should know how to do. Okay, how should you make up your presentation or profile such that someone will give you some work. So do that, like go to LawSikho, search with the keyword paralegal, you will find loads of webinars. I will be doing chartered secretary, help me in moving abroad, or should I move on the basis of LLB? I already answered that. How to apply for the law firms to manage your finances like rent, food, etc. So, see, lots of people do odd jobs together or second jobs together with the jobs. Again, your employer should allow you to do that. Okay, if you want to make people compromise on their living standards, they share houses with other people, share food, electricity bills, everything with other people. That's how they get by in the initial days. Commutation is killing, like commuting will cost you. Which would be better, LLM in finance or IPER or MBA in business analyst? Of none of the degrees, guys, get the point. None of the degrees, just degrees don't work. Okay, you have to get, you land there. Okay, and you produce a degree and you get some kind of work, but for that also you will have to done some work here. There has to be work experience here. Okay, is there a possibility to find a job if we do our law degree there? I think I answered this question. My question is just for Ireland only. Please suggest. Again, Ireland is no different country compared to other countries. So there is no skill shortage for law. They will prefer someone who has done some kind of work experience here in India. Okay, and that experience contributes to the work there. Okay, at least if you don't have work experience as a freelancer with a paralegal there, you have to have something to show up in India in the minimum. How is the work-life balance abroad? I answered that. Better, much better in the European countries compared to US. But again, where there are transactions, you have to put in the hours. Can a CS land a job in Dubai, UAE? I've seen company secretaries uh, having or working in Dubai in some positions. I don't know how good those are or what level they are. You can, I think the CS Institute has a chapter in Dubai as well. Okay, you can communicate to those people and actually find out. What is the scope for fresh law graduates in Canada? Can I have the WhatsApp link? Okay. I have done LLB. I already have 1.5 years experience in billing and collection in an MNC. Please suggest, should I do LLM or MBA? Relevant experience. What is the meaning of relevant experience? What work you have to do there? Some connected experience you have to have here, and in order to be able to show. Okay. Again, see, this is something many companies there have a very detailed KYC processes. This is another thing I want to let you know. Particularly companies which are MNCs and all. Citibank. Citibank had an extensive screening process. Okay, they had given their screening off to another agency, and the agency will be looking at your everything. They will be looking at your degrees. They will be looking at your salary slips. They will be looking at references that you can provide for the last 3 employments. Okay. And in my case, the third employment that I had worked with was actually an Indian entity, and people had already left that entity and moved forward and all. I could locate people with difficulty to be for them to give any references. I had to give references of people in the last 3 employments in order to be able to, like, screened for employment. So entities like this, like very detailed and thorough screening processes. Okay, where they have screening processes like that, you have to be prepared for this also. Okay, WhatsApp group link people want in the chat. Let me give that. There are quite a few questions, I believe, on YouTube also, which I can look to answer. Before we end, here we go. This is the WhatsApp group link. Have you received it? You can look to join. There are spaces in this group. I have checked. Okay. So, lots of questions on YouTube. Where to start after law? How are some students able to make it to silver circle firms from India? Will multiple years of transactional experience in India help to get hired in such firms? Like I said, if you have relevant experience to show, guys, okay, and you have been a star where you're working, you can get on that basis, but you have to have work experience here, and you have to be able to demonstrate that that's going to help there. Then you will be able to get a job. And secondly, while you are working here, from here, if you apply, there are very rare chances of getting a job unless you have been sent before on deputation there and you had worked, or on some transaction you had worked with some lawyers there and created an impression. Some way you have come in touch where they have been able to see. Otherwise, if you're directly applying from here to the law firms there, even if you are a star, that is very difficult. Okay. Brilliant. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being there. I hope I have answered most of the questions. If not, we can you can join the WhatsApp group. We can do a Q&A and we can look at answering the questions then.